After a series of public spectacles from Kanye West, his wife Kim Kardashian broke her silence about his mental health issues, posting on social media that he's dealing with bipolar disorder. Were you surprised that Kim went public like this, Sonny?
Well, I was surprised in a sense that she went public about this in particular, but we know that she's a public person. She's been on our show, Whoopi, so many times discussing, her life, and she lives her life very publicly, but she has been very private about her children, and she has been very private about Kanye's mental health. But I thought this was a good thing because everyone's been speculating and everyone's been talking about it, and quite frankly, I think people have been very cruel to him. I myself have dealt with people in my family that suffer from mental illness and friends that suffer from mental illness, and it is really difficult to deal with someone that's close to you that is dealing with bipolar disorder, because people think, well, where is the family, and why isn't the family just putting them into a mental hospital? It's very difficult when someone is an adult to put them in involuntarily. They either have to be a danger to themselves or a danger to others, imminent danger. And that doesn't appear to be the case here. And so I think she explained it really eloquently. My hope is that the family heals. My hope certainly is that Kanye gets the help that he needs and that he becomes a spokesperson for bipolar disorder and for mental health illnesses, because really it's become so stigmatized. And I thought this was a really good thing that she came out publicly and said, give this family a break, give this family some privacy and some healing, and stop judging them.
Right. Joy, how do you think this is a good thing to have it playing out so publicly?
Yeah, I do, actually, because, my opinion is that there's always a better chance of getting help with a disease if a celebrity has it. And I don't mean that facetiously, because you notice that there are many celebrity endorsements of various medications. And it sort of brings the thing to the fore. And so now we know that there's a big celebrity who has bipolar disease. I was reading that nearly 500 911 calls a day involve the mentally ill in this country. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people who are suffering. And of course, Trump administration always wants to cut Medicaid, which is the exact insurance that would help fix this problem. So people, I'm glad, bring it to everyone's attention. And the Kardashians have been public for how many years now? Everything they do is public. So this helps, I think, the situation. That's my position.
Right. So, Megan, why do you think it takes a celebrity having a public meltdown before people start paying attention?
Look, I think we have a problem talking about mental health issues in this country in general. I know when we're talking about, veterans coming back from war and the trauma of post-traumatic stress syndrome, we don't do a good job having conversations about it or giving people grace to deal with, what is something that impacts, and it's 2.3 million people, by the way, suffer from bipolar disorder in the United States of America right now, so it's a large number. This has been very hard to watch. I think for most Americans, Kanye's meltdown, it sort of reminded me of Britney Spears in 2007 when she was clearly suffering a meltdown, shaving her head and, going through a very difficult time. I think the weird part for me has been this illusion that he's running for president. And I thought people in the media needed to be more responsible, especially given his campaign stop where he went on. I don't want to go into detail with it because it's so dark, but can what best be described as a complete and total mental breakdown publicly on stage in front of a crowd. And I just hope that he gets the help that he needs. I give the Kardashian family and the West family nothing but sympathy, and I hope that he gets help. One of the triggers for a bipolar spiral is huge trauma and suffering of a loss, and we all know that Kanye lost his mother. And while I don't have bipolar disorder, after my father died, I went into a deep depression, which I had never experienced anything in my life before. And I think if maybe you guys remember, I actually took more time on bereavement leave than I think is probably normal. I took 6 weeks. It's normal to take 4. And it's because the people around me, my husband, my loved ones, people who know me, didn't think I was capable of going back on television. And that's why it's important to have support around you, to know your limitations. And it's okay to be not okay and to suffer and to need help and then to get back on it. But for me with depression, I have to stay on it. I'm in therapy. I stay on it like it's any other ailment you would have. And I think that there's no shame in it. It's why I have no problem talking about it on national television. And I just hope, as you both said, Sunny and Joy, that this opens up a much needed conversation with grace and kindness towards him and the entire family.
I have a correction to make. One little correction.
Yes, sure. Go ahead.
The correction is that 500 911 calls a day just in New York, just in one state.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So multiply that by 50.
Glenn Close.
Okay.
Glenn Close started a program called Bring Change to Mind, which is all about people talking with other people and talking about their mental issues, whatever is going on with them, because 99% of people feel that if they tell someone, it makes people feel like there's something wrong with them. And we want people to know that so many folks walk around in such pain that we deserve, as human beings, to keep this conversation going. So there are lots of places we can recommend, but I wonder, Sunny, do you think that some laws need to change so that if you are part of a family where there is bipolar disorder and say someone decides not to go on their medication, now if you're over 18, there's nothing anyone can do. Should we put some sort of things in place that will help everyone find a balance for this? Because listening to what Kim is saying, she's saying there's nothing, we're helpless to do anything because, he's over the age of consent.
Yeah.
Are there laws we should be looking at?
Whoopi. It's so difficult because we went through this in this country, a time when we were able to put people, adults, into mental institutions against their will. And that wasn't a good thing either. And then there was a backlash, and that's why it's so difficult to do that now. But I've struggled with this within my own family, Whoopi, as you know. And you're so helpless when someone is going through an episode and they're not really a danger to others or themselves, but you know that they're sick and you know that they're hurting and there's nothing you can do. So I don't know where the balance is. I definitely think it needs to be re-examined because, when you're seeing it and there's nothing you can do, it's painful for the family member, but it's most painful for the person that's going through a sickness. It's almost like if somebody is having a heart attack, don't you want to help them? But there's nothing that you can do. Mental illness is like any other illness. So I'm not sure what we need to do, but there definitely needs to be a change.
Right. And Megan said something interesting, too, that has to do with, the media. And it makes me wonder, since the media is aware that he has these bouts periodically, whether they should check with Kim before they send people to cover. Should someone have called and said, is he okay? Is he going through something? Do you think the media can take a little more responsibility when it's someone who's as publicly known as Kanye is? Megan.
I do. I think, and I also think it's a catch-22 because obviously he's one of the most well-known celebrities on planet Earth, and he was alleging he was running for president, so I guess you can't bother people that want to go see him in person. But I think all of it, the way I go back to Britney Spears and the way she was made fun of and covered, and the way Kanye is sort of made fun of by some people in the media. And I think that I actually thought it was interesting. Dave Chappelle went to go visit him in Wyoming, where he's staying. And Dave Chappelle, notoriously, he left his show at the top of his game, and it was a huge, huge hit for Comedy Central because, my understanding was just the stress and all of it was more than he could handle at the time. So I think if someone like him can get through to him, and I don't know what the answer is entirely. I can't imagine being part of the Kardashian family and watching this person you love, the father of your children, do this in such a public and destructive manner. But I do think I do think some of this, like, he's clearly not running for president in a serious way. And like, there were a lot of think pieces by places like Forbes and serious publications. And I think that we don't need to placate that when someone is clearly in pain and in trouble, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, we want to let folks know that if you need someone to talk to, you can reach out to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration helpline at 1-800-662-HELP. It's available 24/7 with trained specialists who can help and provide referrals to local treatment facilities and support groups. You know, if you don't ask, you don't know.